Out of Hell's Kitchen, written by John Hansel, narrated by Philip Batley.
Don't puke, Luke, don't puke. Remember, you can't get anything into the rebreather. 1. He began counting his breaths again, trying to get the thought of vomiting out of his head. 2. 3. What the hell is that? Before him, a long tubular outline of a distinctively man-made object materialized out of the haze. His heart leapt. The submarine! Except, as he got closer, he realized it didn't look like any submarine he'd ever seen. And he certainly didn't think submarines glowed. Rising from the seabed, directly before him stood a massive concrete cylinder, about 4 meters tall, 2 in diameter. A series of pipes radiated up and away from its sides near the top, before joining together in a sphere just above. Protruding from one side of the sphere, a large pipe disappeared off into the distance. It was the sphere that was glowing, emitting a dull, red light. The water around the sphere shimmered, the heat radiating from it a tangible thing. Luke gagged, knew his body was quickly succumbing to the intense heat, but he ignored the warning signs. He swam closer to the bizarre device. He once again freed the camera and framed the object in the display, external lights unnecessary in the sphere's artificial illumination. The camera beeped as the image was captured, and Luke quickly backed away, his vision beginning to blur. Part of his brain pleaded with him to get away, but instead he swam around the object and followed the pipe that snaked away from the monolith, overwhelming curiosity overcoming pleading logic. As the glow slowly receded behind him, the water cooled noticeably, the relief almost immediate. A relief that was short-lived, as he felt the scooter twitch in his hands and, looking down, he watched the little propeller sputter, fluctuate, then spin to a halt. Uh-oh. He clicked the trigger several times. Nothing. The scooter had died, its internals flooded from a seal that had surrendered to temperatures it hadn't been designed to withstand. Trying to ignore the dire consequences the loss of the scooter foretold, Luke released his grip on the dead vehicle, the weights strapped to its sides, quickly sinking it to the bottom. He really was on his own now. In the ensuing silence, Luke realized the water was alive with a variety of odd noises, and he paused, trying to make sense of them. A strange sensation suddenly pressed intensely on his inner ear. A rumbling sensation seemed to run through his entire body, shaking him. The pressure in his ears sharply increased, and he tried in vain to equalize against it. Now what? The vibrations quickly grew into concentrated waves of force as Luke pressed his hands to his ears, his head pounding in agony. The faint glow behind him suddenly increased in intensity, and as he looked back toward the sphere, he noticed the pipe next to him appear to undulate, to leap. Crack! The water around him visibly jumped, and an ear-splitting spear of sound drilled into his head. He felt his body ripple as a concussive wall of energy hit him, the glow behind bursting into a brilliant ball of orange that rapidly began expanding. Panic engulfed him. He turned and kicked wildly at the dense water, propelling himself away from the approaching horror, his whole body writhing in pain from the increasingly concussive shock waves that coursed by. Unconsciously, he observed a section of the pipe beside him split open, the surrounding water immediately erupting into a boiling frenzy. He kept kicking, clawing at the superheated water, the camera banging at his side with every frantic stroke. He swam blindly through a world lit in eerie orange by the aquatic nova that pursued him through the water that was pulsing with the energy of a subterranean eruption. The pipe he still unwittingly followed suddenly disappeared into a solid wall of concrete, and Luke ploughed head first into the unyielding side of the pier. Lights burst behind his eyes, and he felt consciousness sliding away as he fumbled for the inflator hose of his rebreather. Then darkness descended, and Luke's world winked out.